Guys, it's me, it's Queen Said Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Asking Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. So, guys, I told you I was not going to tell you anything about Endgame because I think you need to go see it. It's epic, and I think you guys really need to go see it. But I got a lot of messages from people asking me about, they want to know what happened and they're not sure if they want to go see it or not, and they want me to tell them a review of Endgame. Now listen, this is going to have spoilers. The spoilest of the spoilest. The most spoiledest, okay? So do not watch this video if you're going to see it and you don't want to know what happens. Do not watch this video if you want to be surprised. I don't want to hear nobody bitching in the comment section about spoilers, because I'm telling you right now, before you even watch past the first minute of this video, there's going to be major spoilers. You have been warned. All right, guys, so what are my thoughts about the MCU? Listen, I was not somebody who was watching Marvel movies when the first one came out. Since then, I have seen almost all 22 of them. I was not watching at first. I had no interest at all. What got me interested was Black Panther. When I started to hear the buzz online about our Lord and Savior T'Challa getting a standalone movie, I was very excited because, as many of you know, my degrees are in African American studies. So I've studied African people all over the world, people of African descent all over the world. The Caribbean, England, America, everywhere. Wherever African people are, our descendants are, I have studied us and looked at the culture and the civilization of that particular place. So when I heard that Black Panther had all this African culture going on, I had to see it. So I went to go see it here in Costa Rica, and it was not even 2 years ago now, and I fell in love. I fell absolutely in love. So I had to see all the other movies because they all tie together. So I had to see what this is about. Well, here we are. It's time for Endgame, and I'm now invested in the characters. I've watched everything, and I want to tell you first and foremost that Endgame is a roller coaster of emotions. I laughed, I cried. I started crying at the first scene. I cried and laughed off and on for 3 hours. I told one of my friends I want to go see this movie again, and he said, "For what? So you can cry for 3 more hours?" I mean, off and on, I was literally crying. Maybe because right now my emotions have been really funny, which has been kind of cool, but Endgame plays with your emotions on purpose. They do it on purpose, guys, I'm telling you. So as soon as it starts off, there's Hawkeye and his family, and they're having a picnic, and then they just disappear. The snap happens, and I'm like, oh my god. So I'm instantly crying. Hawkeye's looking for his family. He's screaming and clearly in pain. Hawkeye just snapped right there in the first opening scene. That's when he lost it all. Okay, so the bottom line is that the movie lasted about 3 hours. A lot of major events happened in this movie. The biggest thing that happened in this movie is Iron Man died. Iron Man died to save the universe, basically. At the end of the movie, there comes a part where he has to do a snap of his own, and he does, and it kills him, because apparently the Infinity Stones are so powerful. When you do a snap of any kind, snapping something into existence, snapping something out of existence, whatever you do, the Infinity Stones are really strong, and apparently they kill, maim, or really mess up somebody that uses them all, especially at the same time. So at the end, Tony has to do a snap to destroy Thanos and his people, and it kills him. So Iron Man is now dead, and there is a memorial service and everything, and his daughter's there. Iron Man has a daughter. She's 5 years old. The whole thing is just a tear jerker, from the moment he croaked. I was just like, oh my god, I forgot these were fictional characters. Black Widow dies. There's a scene to get the Soul Stone, and her and Hawkeye are the ones that go to get the Soul Stone. and basically one of them has to sacrifice the other one. Neither one of them can do it, so they try to sacrifice themselves, and she's the one that ends up dead. So those scenes were awful. Like, they were awful because I really loved those characters. They were so awful. So what else happened that would be of interest? Well, like I said, it was a very long movie and it tied up a lot of stuff. It tied up everything that had been displaced in Infinity War. Likewise, another big, great thing that happened was the Hulk is now integrated with Bruce Banner. So he's green all the time, but he's smart and calm and eating tacos and chilling, with his glasses on. I mean, it's like, okay. So basically, they've been integrated. And they're able to save Earth. What I like the most is that they kicked Thanos' ass. At the beginning, they killed him up front. In the first 5 minutes, Thor cuts his head off. Like, they find him and they go in on him. And at the end of the movie, Tony does a snap and kills them again. So I loved watching Thanos be defeated because I don't like Thanos. I don't like him at all. So I loved watching him be defeated. That was amazing. Thor is fat in this movie, which I loved. I loved it. Apparently, Thor got very depressed after the snap initially happened in Infinity War, and he got fat, drinking and I guess hanging out and talking with his friends, and he was playing games online. And I mean, it was so funny. He just basically started staying in the house, and he got fat and he had a long beard and his hair's long again, and it was amazing. So it's a lot of time travel that goes on in the movie as well. That's how they are able to get the Infinity Stones in the first place, because Thanos has destroyed them at the beginning of the movie. They cut his head off, and now they have to go back in time to gather the stones before Thanos would have acquired them. So it's really good. I mean, Marvel does a wonderful job, but this was really good. It wrapped everything up. It was sad though, because at the end of the movie, everybody was waiting for the end credits and there weren't any. There was one credit and it said Marvel, and then you heard something like it was hammering or something, and then that was it. It was done. So it's it's really the end. It's really the end game. It's the end of all of those movies, those 22 movies that started with Iron Man and now ended with Endgame. So it was pretty spectacular. Another thing that happened is Captain America decided to go back in time and be with his love. So he's now an old man and can't be Captain America anymore. So he passed on the shield to the black guy. What is the black guy's name? Sam is his name. I forgot. I think his name is Falcon. He passed on the shield to him. Weird choice to me. I thought he was going to pass it on to Bucky, but he passed it on to him. And I'm like, okay, the guy's a nice guy. He's a noble guy. So I could see Cap, picking somebody he felt as though was as noble as him. So that was really good. And the fight scene was epic. There's an epic battle at the end where everybody comes back. And when everybody comes back after the snap, people started cheering. They started cheering for their favorite hero. So Spider-Man pops up, everybody starts screaming. And when T'Challa walked in, oh my God, because T'Challa walked in first with his women. And when he walked in, I just was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. And as each of the characters come in, they all come back. Doctor Strange opens a portal and they all come back, and the Valkyrie comes back, and everybody comes back except Loki. And Loki, you see earlier in the film, escapes during the time travel. So that left the door wide open for Loki not to be dead. So that was really cool. That was extremely cool. I was like, oh my God, because I was looking for my man Loki. I was looking for him. So that's basically it. The battle scene was just so epic, and then that was it. That was the end. Thanos and his people got disintegrated by Tony's snap. And I love how Tony's last line was, I am Iron Man. The same thing he said in the first movie when he ended the movie. So I was very sad because Tony is one of my favorite characters. I love his sass and I love his smart, witty comebacks. I love his intelligence. So, and his vulnerability because he became more and more vulnerable as the movie went on. And seeing him with his daughter was amazing. So, yeah, it's a great movie. It's an epic movie. It is the end of an era, literally. And, you know, we're I don't know what Marvel's going to do next, but they're up to something new. They're up to something great, according to what I'm understanding. I was happy to see Doctor Strange again. I love Doctor Strange, so I was really happy to see him when he came back. And at the end of the movie, another thing that happened was Thor decided to give Asgard to the Valkyrie. So the Valkyrie is now the queen of Asgard, and Thor left with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He left with Gamora and Quill and Groot and the raccoon. He left with them. So he went to explore the galaxy. He said he wanted to be free. You know, Thor has lost everything. He did get his hammer back during the movie, though. But he's lost his mom. He's lost his dad. He doesn't know what's going on with Loki. You know, he's lost everything. You know, him and Jane broke up. You know, he's been through quite a lot. I loved Thor in this movie because he kept crying and I loved it. I loved seeing that vulnerability for a change. I love it when a man is okay to express his feelings. I love it. And even though it was comical the way he did it, it still showed that he had that soft side. Even though he's this big god of war, it did hurt him to lose his mother. You know, you saw that, you know, when he hugged her because he saw her in the flashback, and it was wonderful. It was just wonderful. And Thor being fat, it was great. The whole thing was great. So I do recommend that you see Endgame. Oh, and somebody asked me about Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is in Endgame. But to me, she was underused. I mean, she was there and she helped defeat Thanos both times. She's the one that found Tony Stark floating in space and brought him back because he would have died in space if she hadn't found him. So, and Nick Fury comes back at the end too, by the way, in case you're wondering about your man Nick. But Captain Marvel is in some of the major scenes, but I just felt like she was underused. I felt like she could have been used a lot more. I mean, she is powerful. She's powerful enough to fly around in space with no ship. So I thought that they could have did a lot more with her. But it was so many characters to do something with. I guess that would have been difficult, you know. And another thing that really touched my heart was when Tony Stark first saw Spider-Man. All the reunions were amazing. They were tearjerkers. But when Tony first saw Spider-Man and he hugged him, and I was like, wow. You know, you become so invested in characters in the series that you almost can forget they're fictional beings, you know? Sometimes it gets that deep. Anyway, so that's my review on the movie. The movie is epic. I would give this movie a 10 out of 10. I didn't have any problems with it. The only thing I didn't like is I didn't think Black Widow should have died. I thought Hawkeye should have died instead of Black Widow. But you know, I can understand why they did it because Hawkeye has a family, so I could understand them wanting him to go back to his family. And I also felt really bad for Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is bad. I mean, they show her powers full force. She almost killed Thanos by herself. I mean, you know, Thanos had to call in like reinforcements. You know, that was amazing. But I felt bad for her because, of course, her brother, her twin, is still gone. You know, the snap couldn't reverse that. And that's something that she was talking about at the end. So I thought that was really sad. But I would give it 10 out of 10, even with the changes that I would like to see. I would like to see a Black Widow still alive. But even with those changes, Tony Stark still alive. I do not think they should have killed Tony. And I'm hoping that they're going to still have Tony as maybe like virtual reality. Because at the end, Tony did like this whole virtual reality will basically. And I'm hoping that maybe they'll do that with him. You know, that would be really cool. And I don't remember seeing Vision. Somebody asked me about Vision. I don't remember seeing Vision. So I might have to watch. I'm going to see this movie again. And I'm going to particularly look especially for Vision. So that's my review on Endgame. It is probably a cultural phenomenon, and from what I've seen online, it made more money than anything ever. It looks like more money than anything ever has made in the history of the world. That might be an exaggeration, but it seems like it did make a really, really significant amount of money. So I'm going to go see it again, and I suggest that you go see it. And if you did not watch all of the movies, you'll be able to understand it as long as you saw Infinity War. But it's more satisfying to watch all the movies and then watch Endgame. For me, it was very satisfying, and a lot of stuff that happened was a big surprise. I was not expecting them to kill Iron Man, even though I did see that online. I saw a lot of things online that could happen, and that was one of them, him and Cap. But I wasn't sad about Cap. I like Cap, but I wasn't sad because Cap went and lived his life. He went back and got the life that he lost. So I was happy for Cap. But with Iron Man, it was just like he wasn't that old. He just had a 5-year-old daughter. What about Pepper Potts? You know, I mean, and there's one flashback where they go back in time and Iron Man sees his father, and his father is talking about the fact that this is his baby, which is Iron Man, is about to be born. And the level of love and pride that his father had, I don't even think Tony knew his father loved him that much. It was just really sweet. So my hat goes off to Marvel. This is definitely a win for the Russo brothers. It was amazing, and I am looking forward to see what happens next in the MCU. Oh, there was a part in the movie where all the women got together and fought together. And I was like, yeah. I was in the audience like, yes. It was phenomenal. The women got together. It was like Scarlet Witch. And I mean, it was like all of them. Captain Marvel, like all the women were together. And they just went hard. They charged, and it was one of the most epic girl power moments in cinematic history. So I thought it was cool. Good job, Marvel. Good job. All right, guys, it's time for me to go. So if you would like to send me a love donation, please, I will leave my PayPal. If you want to send me a gift, I will leave my Amazon wish list. If you would like to get a tarot or oracle card reading, please email me for an appointment. And let me see, I think that's everything. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you know somebody who wants to hear about the movie from an Aquarius point of view, please pass on this video. Okay? Thanks. Bye-bye.